Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and we're doing another Cube Swiss draft. What do we got? We got Dismiss. I like this card. I think it's good. I like Daze too. Free Force Spike. Pretty good. Thundermaw, Liliana. They're all good. Liliana, certainly good with like a Reanimator build. How good is it outside of Reanimator? I'm not sure. I feel like Liliana's pretty good. Could first pick that. Um, Anything else exciting? Yeah, I mean, I like the Daze. I do want to make a counterspell deck in this cube. Try that out. It's also a Tundra, good duel, but yeah, I mean, I'm okay first picking Liliana. She's not bad. Lets you make your opponent sacrifice stuff. All right, I guess we'll first pick Liliana. It's a little more exciting than those counterspells. She's potentially pretty good. All right, well, Animate Dead I think is a pretty good follow-up to the Liliana because it's a Reanimator card, and Liliana is a Reanimator enabler. Now, Wormcoil Engine is a card I want in Reanimator, but I think getting the Animate cards this early is probably the best idea. The fatties will come, as they say, but the Reanimate cards do not necessarily come. So I think we'll take Animate Dead. There is a Wormcoil Engine. Yeah, Wormcoil Engine is very good. Really powerful game flipping card, but I think we're just going to take Animate Dead. Animate Dead's got the additional luxury of being able to pluck creatures from your opponent's graveyard, which I think is really good. So I'm okay second picking that. Okay, next pick. What do we got? Red Cap's fine. Confidant's pretty good. If we have a low curve, Confidant would be good. I think the problem with running it in a Reanimator deck is you could run into like your 10 drop and then you're in pretty big trouble. Could take Sorin. He actually is pretty good for the +1 alongside some fatties. Plus he like gives you a little bit of protection. Not the biggest fan of him though. Far and Away is not bad. Not terribly exciting either. Maybe Lingering Souls is the pick. I like that it buys you time. It's fine to discard because you still end up getting value. Black-white value. Yeah, how good is that? I don't know. I feel like tokens are pretty good. Lingering Souls is a really nice card. It's also Garrick, which is kind of cool with sack creature effects, since it helps you find big creatures you're looking for, potentially. Maybe we take Garrick. Take the rock. Not exactly sure that's right, but I kind of like the idea of flipping him and then sacking to find bigger dudes than maybe discarding it. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit too... what's the word I'm looking for? Too bold of a move this early. That's not the word I'm looking for, but I can't come up with it. Maybe just take the Harmonize. I like drawing cards. And there is Abrupt Decay, which would stick with this theme, but drawing 3 is pretty good. Anything else worthy of mentioning? Not really. Archangel, maybe. Fine card, but not the best Reanimator target. Just take Harmonize. We'll find stuff to reanimate, I'm sure. Yeah, like Consecrated Sphinx is a good one. I do like the Avenger. Living Death is interesting. Little board wipe. Bloodline Keeper is good value. Sphinx is pretty tough to deny. That's a good reanimate target. Lets you just draw a bunch of cards. That's a real game finisher there. It is blue, though, where I can actually cast Avenger, which I kind of like. Yeah, and the nice thing about Avenger is you play it, they kill it, you reanimate it, you get twice as many plants, then you play a land, all of your plants, including the previous few, get pumped. That might be worth it. I'm not sure. I do like the Sphinx a lot, though. Sphinx is very good. Drawing cards. I think Avenger makes more sense since it's green and I'm potentially playing rock here. So let's take the Avenger. Okay, Inquisition's a fine card, but I think we're going Primal Command. I'm a big fan of this card in general, and I think it's going to work well alongside our black. We might not even end up black if it gets cut too much. Like Obliterator and Inquisition aren't terribly exciting black cards, but we'll take the Primal Command and be happy with that. Okay, pretty happy to see Toxic Deluge. It's actually a really good board wipe spell. And it actually works fine alongside Fatties we bring back. I guess it doesn't work that well alongside Avenger, but I think the whole point of Toxic Deluge is you get to cheaply board wipe when it's advantageous, so I kind of like it. Actually, Dark Blast is very good with reanimating rather, because you want to dredge, but I think Toxic Deluge is just so much superior to Dark Blast that even though synergistically speaking Dark Blast may be better, I think Toxic Deluge is just a more powerful pick here. I think Temple of Malady seems like a pretty safe pick. There is Whip of Erebos, though, which lets us bring creature cards back. Actually works well alongside Avenger. Yeah, I mean, Temple's fine. I think Whip is actually what I want, though. I kind of want to make a reanimate thing work. And though Night Howler rewards you for a lot of creatures in the yard, Whip of Erebos just kind of seems like what I want. Especially if I'm in green where I have a lot of efficient creatures. I think getting lifelink on all of them can be pretty game-changing. Whip is just a really good card. Necrotol is actually a reasonable reanimate target, especially alongside Whip. Precursor Golem seems okay too, though, right? Gains haste, exiled at the beginning of the next end step. If it would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere. And yeah, so that actually, Whip with Precursor is kind of interesting. I kind of like how that works. You bring back the Precursor, even if they kill it. I guess it kills all the other ones, but if it dies on its own from Whip, then you get it back. I'm going to take the Precursor. I've got a good feeling about it for some reason in this deck. Wall of Blossoms seems reasonable. It's not a good reanimate target, but it holds down the fort reasonably well. There is also Herald of Torment, but this doesn't seem like a Herald of Torment deck to me, really. I guess Whip of Erebos doesn't work that well with Wall of Blossoms, but it kind of works reasonably well with Toxic Deluge, since you usually only do it for like 3 or so. I guess we'll take the Wall of Blossoms. All right, Lingering Souls, tabling, could end up in some sort of green, black, white junk thing. Would I want Sorin instead? Yeah, Sorin I guess works better with the Avenger than Lingering Souls does, so it's a reasonable pick. Let's see. Could take the Archangel. Probably just want the Disfigure. Even if I don't main deck it, it's a good sideboard card to have. No fixing yet, but couple ways to reanimate. A good reanimation target. Living Death is probably reasonable. Exile all cards from his graveyard, then sacks all creatures he controls, then put all... So if I can fill my yard, Living Death will be good. Otherwise, probably not that good. Obliterator seems a bit color intensive for my taste. I probably don't want to run that. And though Master of the Feast is pretty efficient, I don't think I want to run that either. I don't like the idea of giving my opponents draw card effect. Like in Standard, I think Master of the Feast is probably a lot better than it would be in here. Duress seems reasonable. I do like the Sundering Titan. That seems like a good, yeah, actually like a really good reanimate target. Gains life, blow up all their lands, potentially comes back. Dictate's pretty good with Avenger. Reclamation Sage is a nice utility creature. I think we take the Sundering Titan. I do like blowing up lands. I mean, sometimes you end up blowing up your own lands, but Sundering Titan can be pretty brutal. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's worth mentioning. Knight might table. Mother's a good card, of course, but we can take care of it with Toxic Deluge. Yeah, I think I'd probably just take the Titan. It's a pretty good reanimate target. Duress is also a good card, but let's just take the Titan. Okay, I think we could take on Burial Rites, get even more reanimation. There is Hornet Queen, though, which is very good with Whip of Erebos, Animate Dead, and not so good along Toxic Deluge. Vraska is a fine card, but not amazing. Explorer is some ramp, which I would like, but I'm not sure. I do like on Burial Rites quite a bit. Probably just take the rights. Let's try and focus on animation. I would like some more ways to discard cards. So maybe actually Stinkweed Imp, but Stinkweed Imp could table. There's a lot of good cards in here. Let's take I'm not sure actually which one. I feel like Stinkweed Imp rather will table more often than Unburial Rites will. But then again, Lingering Souls tabled and that was black-white. I don't know. I'm going to take the Unburial Rites and hope the Stinkweed Imp tables. I really do want that Stinkweed Imp, but... Alright, Wayfinder seems excellent for our deck. We mill ourselves and get some reanimation going, possibly. Nothing else super interesting in here, for us at least. Hypnotic Spectre is playable, but not really like themed well for our deck, I don't think. Yeah, I think Wayfinder is just a slam dunk pick here. Alright, Grim Monolith is actually a legit option since it gets us to our 5-drops fast. It's very quick mana. There is Liliana Vess, which is fine, but we already have Liliana, so it's probably not necessary. I like the idea of Liliana setting up miracle cards. That's kind of cool, actually. But let's take the Grim Monolith. I like the ramp into our dudes. Since we don't have any ramp creatures, it seems like could be very good. Damnation seems like a slam. Kozilek is in here, but it doesn't really work with our reanimation because it shuffles itself back. So it doesn't really work. There is Commune with the Gods, also a good card alongside resurrection spells. But Damnation seems like exactly what we want because they're just hard to come by. I'm not sure if we're doing Sorin. It might, especially since we don't have any fixing, it might be better to just stick with Rock and just really focus fire on our reanimation targets plus like board wipes or animation spells. So let's take Damnation because it's a very powerful board wipe in a color that typically doesn't get it, so I kind of like it. Dismember seems fine. It's good removal. There is Nighthawk. This doesn't really seem like a Nighthawk deck all that much. Seems more like a Dismember buy time sort of deck. But then there is a Bayou as well. I probably want the Bayou. I'd like to get some fixing going, and as much as I like Dismember, I think Bayou is going to be more useful. We already have some good removal. And preferably, I don't even want to main deck the Disfigure. I actually like Bone Shredder quite a bit for a couple of reasons. Kokusho is good too, but the reason I like Bone Shredder more is it works really well with Whip of Erebos because, especially considering it's got Echo, so you can throw it away. You basically can get a couple removals out of it. It's just a good reanimation target, and I think it's got enough utility for our deck where I want it here. I do like the Overgrown Tomb and even Scrubland to help make Sorin work. Bloodstained Mire can find our Bayou, so really good lands in here, but I think Bone Shredder is actually just really good utility card to have here. Ophiomancer's fine. I think we want the Wood Elves, especially considering we can find Bayou. So I'm going to pick that. Obstinate Baloth is reasonable as well, but definitely want the Wood Elves. Very good for us. This deck's not looking bad. I wouldn't mind having some better reanimation targets. Currently a little bit light, but hoping to table that Stinkweed Imp. That would really make this deck kind of interesting and cool, I think. I would like some more ways to fill my yard. Between Satyr Wayfinder, Liliana the Veil, we could use a couple more. And then we just need a few more fatties as well, which typically isn't that hard, I don't think. Alright, Duress is pretty good. There is Reclamation Sage as well, which is nice utility. We are creature light with good res spells currently, so maybe actually Reclamation Sage is more the utility that we're looking for. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Duress is a very good card. I think for the most part, Duress is probably a better card in Cube than Reclamation Sage, but Reclamation Sage is a better card for our deck, so I think I'm going to take it. I like the Knight of Infamy too, but I think having toolkit cards like Bone Shredder and Reclamation Sage is really the best to have alongside Animate Dead and Whip of Erebos and stuff like that. I think I like Living Death in this deck too, especially if we can table that Stinkweed. And we did, so very happy to table Stinkweed Imp. I think that's right in line with what we want to do. Just dredge for days, and I mean, Stinkweed Imp is also, it's got a little death touch on him. Usually trades for something, and then you just dredge fatties, and then you res the fatties that you dredge, so I think that's good. Vraska's cool, but less in line with what we want. I would love Wooded Foothills or Explorer as well, but we're definitely going to take the Stinkweed. Alright, Hippie is fine, not terribly exciting, but fine card. Might end up playing it. I think we probably just cut Soren for now. Probably don't need it. So ways to fill are, like, I'd probably want to cut Wall of Blossoms too. I'd prefer to not main deck that. All right, we can take the second Liliana. We could also take Regrowth. Regrowth doesn't work as well with animation, but if they take care of the creature I animated, I could bring back animation and then reanimate a spell with not much mana. Liliana is good too, but since we already have a Liliana, I think I would rather have the Regrowth. All right, Commune with the Gods I think is actually what we want. It fills our yard. And Hex Mage is good too, especially utility-wise for Planeswalkers, but I think I actually want cards to fill my yard. So, okay, so all we need out of Pack 3, in my opinion, is, ooh, Kokusho. I was going to say more fatties, but Kokusho's a decent one, I will say. When it dies, you get to punish them pretty harshly, so... really, we just need a couple more good reanimate targets. I'd like some way to make Unburial Rites flashback work. Otherwise, Unburial Rites isn't going to be as good for us, but we actually have a decent reanimate deck, I think. So yeah, a couple more. Basically, out of this pack, I would just like some good animate targets, and I would also like some fixing, if at all possible. Isochron can't really get anything for me that I care about. Geralf's Messenger is a fine card, a bit color intensive. It's not exactly what I'm looking for. Kind of a weak pack for us overall. Could take the Gaia's Cradle. It works well with the Avenger. Yeah, I guess we just take the Gaia's Cradle. I think the problem is we don't have a lot of creatures, but it works fine. It works really well with Avenger. I will say that, but we don't really have a lot of rewards for a bunch of mana. There's just nothing else I really want. I mean, Thrun is fine. It's not really what I want for this deck. Let's just take the Cradle. Could end up wanting it if we find some more. All right, well, Craterhoof is pretty amazing alongside Avenger. Nykthos, I'm not sure we have enough permanents to really make that work. There is a Diabolic Servitude, another resurrection spell that I think is good. It's probably better than the Unburial Rites currently for our deck. Kodama's Reach also gets us... Maybe Kodama's Reach is what I want to make the Unburial Rites work. It also ramps. I do like the Servitude, though. I want a bunch of reanimate potential. I also want ramp, though. I guess I already have the Grim Monolith, and Wayfinder doesn't ramp, but it does find us lands. Wood Elves also ramps and finds lands. So does Commune? No, Commune just has creatures and enchantments. All right. So really it's like Craterhoof, which I do like alongside Avenger, but other than that, it's not amazing for our deck. Diabolic Servitude, which gives us more reanimate, which is good, but I think I'm actually going to take Kodama's Reach. It's kind of a speculative pick, but I like what it does for us. I think we're going to end up cutting the Hippie because it's not exactly that great for us. Inferno Titan is a good reanimate target. Metamorph is actually good utility too, but I think I like the Inferno quite a bit. I mean, Ulamog is also good, but there's no way to reanimate it, so I don't think it works. There is a Hero's Downfall, which is good removal, but we're more looking for stuff to reanimate at the moment. And Inferno Titan with Whip of Erebos is actually really insane. You gain all the life from the damage it's dealing, plus you get to swing with it for more life gain, more damage. It's basically a net total of a 24-point life swing. 3 damage comes in, 6 damage attack, 3 more damage. So yeah, 24-point life swing with Whip of Erebos is pretty insane, I think. So I think we'll take it. I do like the Metamorph too, especially considering I can just play it out of nowhere. But I think I'm fine with Titan here. All right, Massacre Worm is a great reanimate target since it's essentially a nice board wipe. There is Thought Season here as well, which would be good. But Massacre Worm seems exactly like what I want, I think. Mind Stone is some ramp, which would also be good for us. But I'm still looking for fatties. I think we need enough to justify all these res spells we have. What's the next cut? Could be the Regrowth, I guess. I still think I like Garrick. It's green removal. Maybe we might have enough removal where Garrick's not that good, but I like that it's -3 is kind of interesting if I'm milling myself out. There is an Elvish Mystic, but we've got a couple board wipes, so I don't think ramp creatures are where we want to be. Massacre Worm is very good, so we're going to take the Massacre Worm. I just need to figure out what I'm cutting for it. There's Bitter Blossom, but I think we just want the Exhume. Actually, maybe we want the Rampant Growth. I guess Exhume is more in line with our Reanimate plan. I do like the Tree Speaker as well. Maybe we already have to make some cuts, so we've got a bit of a challenge on our hands here. Maybe the Reclamation Sage gets cut. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Exhume versus Rampant Growth. Rampant Growth helps us find the white for Unburial Rites, but so does Reach. It also ramps us. Guess I take Exhume. I'm not exactly sure. That's right. Teferi is reasonable. I think Fauna Shaman's actually what we want. Yeah, Fauna Shaman with Res is like exactly what we want, so we'll take that. I think we're just going to cut Regrowth at this point. Llanowar Waste seems fine. There's also Underworld Connections for card draw, which I do like, but I think we'd rather have the Wastes get some more fixing, which is pretty nice. Visara, that's a great res target. There's also Eternal Witness, which brings stuff back for us, which I like, but Visara can just beat people. Visara, if you can cheat that out, plus we can even hard cast it, I think Visara just straight up beats some people, so I'm going to take that. Alright, I'm going to hate the sneak attack. I don't like playing against it. It's a very powerful card. I'm kind of surprised it went this long, actually. Nykthos, I feel like I don't really have... I mean, I do have some color-intensive stuff at the end, but I don't know if Nykthos is right for this deck. There is Bloodghast, which is kind of cool, but it's more for beatdown, mono black. I think I just hate Johnny Vengeant, which I don't really want to play against. Alright, Hero's Downfall is quite good. There is a Mulch, though. I think Mulch is actually exactly what we want. Not only does it help us, it fills our yard, finds us lands. Yeah, I think it's what we want. There is an Ulamog in there, but... so basically, I think we're just going to cut all cards at this point that don't interact well with our mill ourselves and res plan, which, admittedly, I'm not exactly sure what that includes. I like the command spell so much. Got a Thoughtseize back. That's pretty good. Necromancer's not really what I want. Song of the Dryads is fine, but I think we want the Thoughtseize. This is going to be tough. I got a lot of good cards. We've got a good plan. I need to figure out what I'm cutting, what I'm keeping. It's very challenging. Revelark is cool. I mean, it's the best card of these remaining. I guess Manowar is a good tempo card against us for our Reanimate. Yeah, maybe actually Manowar is more annoying against us. Spiteful is just a good mono black beatdown card. I don't want to play against that. We're definitely a deck that's going to win in the mid to late game, not in the early game. So... well, unless of course we can reanimate relatively early. This is a kind of tricky choices to be made here. I think we cut Reclamation Sage. It's probably a better utility sideboard card. I do like having that sort of removal main deck, but it's not exactly in line with what we're trying to do here. I like all of the self-mill we have alongside all of the res spells we have. So I think in that department we are good. We got to group stuff separate and take a look at what creatures we need and don't need. So Precursor, though it's good with Whip, is probably, I mean, it's also good, I guess, with Animate Dead. I mean, it is. It's legitimately a good reanimate target that I can always get back. Inferno Titan, though it is insane with Whip, there's no way to actually cast it. Whereas if I play all of these other creatures, I can always cast them. And like I said, I think Whip with Precursor is pretty insane because you end up netting a couple more golems as well, which is kind of nice. Precursor is a little bit questionable. I don't have a lot of ways to get Inferno Titan in my yard if it's in my hand. I do have Fauna Shaman and Liliana. I'm not sure if I have any other way to get rid of it, though. As much as I love Thoughtseize, I kind of feel like I need to cut it. I'm not sure if that's right. I'm kind of feeling cutting the Garrick. As much as I like the fact that it's green removal, I think because I have better black removal, I probably don't need it. It is kind of cool. It lets you search for creatures, so it would let me find my fatties, but I think I'm enough on the fence with Garrick where I'm going to cut it. How good is Living Death? Well, it's certainly good if I have a bunch of creatures in my yard, but yeah, I mean, with all the self-mill, I think Living Death could be really good. But it can... The problem is it can also be good for my opponent, because I do run board wipe spells. So if I'm board wiping and then Living Death, they can end up with some good stuff. Living Deaths would work really well if I have a Massacre Worm in my yard, because then I bring... That's actually pretty insane. If I have a Massacre... excuse me. If I have a Massacre Worm in my yard, I res it with Living Death, they bring back all their dudes, their little dudes, and then I kill them all and make them lose life. That's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. I'm going to run one Plains, because I can find it with Kodama's Reach, also Mulch, Satyr Wayfinder. Wood Elves, I guess the Wood Elves can't find it. I don't think we're going to run the Gaia's Cradle. This doesn't really seem like the deck for it, except with Avenger and maybe Precursor Golem. Yeah, I still have to figure out some cuts. Could be Primal Command. Good card in general. Maybe not exactly in line with what I want to do with this deck. I think I can cut Primal. I have the Fauna Shaman to find creatures now. Need to make 3 more cuts. I do want to run 17 lands. I don't want to cut Harmonize, really. I like the idea of drawing cards, or having a card draw effect, at least. Res spells are Exhume, Animate Dead, Whip, Unburial Rites, and Living Death. Maybe Living Death needs to get cut. I do like it with Massacre Worm and our other fatties, but we have all of these other ways to animate, so I'm not sure Living Death is exactly what we want. It can be quite good, though. I will say that. I can't really cut Stinkweed Imp. It seems like the Dredge 5 is too good for us. I kind of don't want to cut any of our fatties, because that's going to make really good use of all of these self-mill spells. So I need to make 2 more cuts. Maybe I do cut the Thoughtseize. I love Thoughtseize, but I could sideboard into it if there's something I really need to take care of. I mean, the problem is Thoughtseize is always good, but I'm not sure if it's good enough for us. I don't really want to cut Precursor, even, just because of the synergy with Whip and maybe, you know, Exhume and stuff like that. Animate Dead. Basically, I really want to make sure that Satyr, Wayfinder, Mulch, Commune with the Gods are doing good work for us. So I kind of need all of our fatties. I need to make 1 more cut. I mean, you would think Commune actually isn't exactly what we want, because it's a May, though, so I can still put creatures, but it's kind of card disadvantage in that case, if I'm just milling myself. Maybe I cut the Commune. I don't like the idea of cutting cards that self-mill, but I do have Wayfinder, Mulch, and Fauna Shaman to ditch cards from my hand into my yard. And I kind of like all of these other cards more. I wouldn't mind finding a way to get Thoughtseize back in, but that could be challenging. I mean, Thoughtseize is quite good. It really is. Especially if I have lifelink to get myself back up. I don't know. I don't want to cut any of my res or discard, really. Or board wipes. Kind of want to keep the card draw. Don't want to cut any of these utility spells. Bone Shredder still seems quite good with Animate Dead. And yeah, I mean, the echo on it really is what makes it shine, I think. Maybe I just run it like this. Good res, good board wipe, good fatties. Yeah, I think I'm running it like this. I don't know how good this deck is. You know, I don't want people. I've been saying from the beginning of me playing Cube, I'm not a savvy Cube player. I'm not. I mean, if you're cringing watching me, then I just suggest don't watch me play Cube. You know what I mean? Like, it really is that simple. If you don't enjoy watching me play Cube, then don't watch me play Cube. But if you're looking for someone who's trying to understand a format like you might be, then maybe you'll enjoy it. But if you're looking for someone who's really savvy at Cube, I'd suggest watching Conley, T-Woo, LSV, all those dudes. Check those out if you're into savvy Cube. If you're looking for people trying to figure out Cube, then stick around and maybe watch me. All right, let's get one white source in there. So this would be 11 sources of black, 7 sources green. I think we can go to 10 sources black, 8 sources green, because I do want to be able to cast Wood Elves, which still finds us black, and Kodama's Reach, which also finds us black. So I think this is decent. I mean, honestly, I don't know how good this deck is. It seems okay. We start getting synergies going relatively early. I still think Grim Monolith is still pretty good in this deck, because it makes Visara, Massacre Worm, Kokusho, Avenger, Sunring Titan cheaper, and Precursor for that matter. Like, turn 2 Grim Monolith, turn 3 Precursor, though not amazing, really isn't that bad either. Otherwise, I'd have to like cut it. I think actually don't know what the weakest card in our deck is, but it might be the Grim Monolith. I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna run it like this. Exhume is questionable, I guess, but I want all the animate targets I can get. The reason I say Exhume is questionable is because I have the board wipes, so I might get rid of a powerful creature and then I can't really comfortably cast Exhume anymore, but that doesn't always hold true. So we're gonna run it like this. Once again, if you're not into my Cube vids, I just recommend don't watch them. Stick to the cons vids. I feel a lot more comfortable in Cons of Tarkir than I do in Cube. I'm still just trying to figure out this format and what works for me, what works best in general. So, yeah, if you're looking for someone, if you feel like you're in the same boat that I am for Cube, stick around and watch it. But if you're looking for savvy Cube players, I suggest moving on, definitely. All right, we'll see you for round 1.